Hey guys, Impactful Gaming, and we're going to do something that I've never really done on this channel before, but every other YouTube channel seems to have done it, which is a tier list, and we're going to do Zelda games that I've played. Now, Zelda is probably one of my favorite gaming franchises ever, like since way back in the GameCube days, and I've played some of the games before that, like after the fact, after they came out, and basically this list is going to be only on the ones that I've played, so unfortunately that's not going to include the likes of Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Link's Awakening, or Link to the Past, which I'm really sorry for. But what we will be talking about, as you can see on the tier list, hopefully I've got it up on the video, is Breath of the Wild, we've got Link Between Worlds, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, I believe Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker. So that's what, about 7. So it's kind of like a mini tier list. Now these categories, are going to be going from top to bottom. We have Game of the Year Contender, which is basically just as close to 10 out of 10 as you could possibly get. We have Master Sword Quality, which is a really good game and I would play it again kind of thing, but it doesn't quite have what it takes to be at the top echelon of like games. But I guess we could kind of fudge the details a bit later. There's One and Done, which is just like middle of the road. You play it once and then you're kind of done with it after that. Oh God, the motion controls, which doesn't necessarily mean that it has to have motion controls. It just means that the level of frustration that I get from playing with motion controls, if I feel that during the game, even if it doesn't have it, then that's kind of where I'm gonna rank it. And then there's Die with ET, which is a reference to like when they buried the horrible ET game. I mean, they eventually dug it back up, but it was so bad that they had to bury it underneath the ground because nobody wanted to play it. So, yep, those are the rules. These are the tiers we're going with, and these are the games we're going to be playing with. So, like, again, it's kind of like a mini tier list, but, you know, that works. Okay, I guess the first one we could start with is... We could start with Ocarina of Time, because it's kind of like the one that I'm pretty sure most people have played. And also, this is kind of like off the cuff / I usually do a script, but I just kind of like notes on each game kind of thing. But like, now, I played this as like a retro game on the Wii, so not exactly on the N64. So I was a bit late to the party in that kind of sense, but whatever people told me about it, there was always quite a lot of hype about it. And personally, when I played it, I enjoyed it quite thoroughly, at least at the time I did. It was very different to any other Zelda game because it was 3D at the time, was the first one to go to N64 where they started really having 3D games. And I did thoroughly enjoy it. Like, I personally think that some of the dungeons in Ocarina of Time were probably some of the most challenging and some of the most interesting. I mean, barring the god-awful water temple, we won't talk about that. But yeah, I did have a lot of fun playing it. The gameplay was a hell of a lot of fun, and the story was good, even though it's pretty much the same with each Zelda game, so you can't really talk about story in that sense. But for those reasons, it should be in the top tier for Game of the Year Contender. The only issue I have with, actually not the only issue, there's a couple of issues I have with it, which is it just feels a bit empty sometimes, because Ocarina of Time is like a really big like field, and always a field of play you have to play in, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot in it. It's like there's stuff in like the cities between, but in between it's just like a field where you just walk and like occasionally fight a monster maybe, and like, so it's kind of like, I know that dungeons are kind of like the bread and butter of Zelda games, but I just didn't. It's also, side missions are also quite important and stuff to happen along the way, because it is like an explorative kind of game. I want to be able to find stuff to happen all the time, and it kind of felt empty in that sense. So for those reasons, I still think it should be at least Master Sword quality, because I'm not of the opinion that it's like, oh, it's so terrible, like Ego Raptor said it is, like famous sequel saying it's not really a true Zelda game. But I'm not of the opinion that it's like the best Zelda game. It's like the best of all time kind of thing. It's just not, at least not for me. Maybe it's because I was new to the party, maybe it's because I don't really have that nostalgia factor to it, but that's just how I feel. So it's probably gonna have to go in Master Sword quality. So let's just get that out the way and put it there. Yep, that's the first one out the way. The next one, we could do Majora's Mask, because I guess it did come out pretty soon after Ocarina of Time, so it feels kind of like this natural progression that we're gonna do. I think it came out like 6 months later or something like that, using the same engine. So it's kind of strange for them to kind of release a new game so soon, a new Zelda game so soon. You usually give it like a year or two, or like you hear trailers or stuff like that. But this one came like pretty much right after, which is very strange. But I personally think that Majora's Mask is actually better than Ocarina of Time, and like by some distance as well. Like, I know it's got the same engine and it's the same character models and all of that is the same, but there's something about Majora's Mask. It's the way that it's portrayed. It's so much darker, it's so much more somber. It feels a lot more decrepit is the word. It just feels a lot darker when playing it. It just feels like I think it's the only Zelda game really that I can remember that didn't really have a happy ending, or like a ending that you were satisfied with. Not in saying that was a bad ending, but like it was this constant theme of death and like sorrow and grief. In fact, the whole game is a metaphor for the 5 stages of grief, because I mean, spoiler alert, but like Link is already dead in this. So it kind of felt like, I don't know, I just liked that aspect of it, and also the whole mask mechanic, like where you had to collect like 30 different masks. I mean, that's the max you can collect, but obviously it was through side missions and stuff like that. But I did enjoy being able to collect those masks, because they all had such different interesting powers. I mean, some more useful than others, some were only just for like the story or just for like one purpose kind of thing. But like a lot of the masks you collected were they just made the gameplay a lot more fun, or they made the gameplay advance a lot more, so you didn't have to like waste time doing certain things. It was still quite empty in between parts. I mean, the big field they didn't really fix that in Ocarina of Time. It was really empty, but in Clock Town specifically, there was so much to do, and like the side missions were like, it really had you going everywhere, and you had to do so many different things, and I just really enjoyed like the world. They had less dungeons as well, and I think the Gerudo Desert in Majora's Mask is probably one of my favorites in all of Zelda games. I just enjoyed like the stealth. Was it Gerudo Desert? Or was it Ocarina of Time? I remember you had to meet the Gerudos. Oh no, the Gerudo Prison, that is Majora's Mask. Ocarina of Time and the Gerudo Desert, I love that, but I also did like the Gerudos in Majora's Mask as well. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it. The underlying theme was really what kind of sold it for me. So really, it should be, I guess I'm saying it's so much better than Ocarina of Time, but I only have 5 categories, and I don't really think it's Game of the Year contender, because there's a couple games that I personally think should be up there. But I guess we'll put it in not Game of the Year contender. We'll put it in Master Sword quality, but it's kind of above Master Sword quality, if you know what I mean. It's above, or at least it's above Ocarina of Time. It's kind of like in between, but not really. So, okay, we have 2 down. We probably changed this like midway through. The next one, we could go for, I'm not sure it's a controversial one, but Twilight Princess. Now, it came out at like a really weird time. It came out like in between the Wii and the GameCube, because it was released for both consoles. So it kind of had motion controls in one and then no motion controls in the other, which was kind of strange. I don't know. I only played the one on the Wii. I never actually played the one on the GameCube, to be honest with you. And in contrast to Majora's Mask, Majora's Mask was dark by the underlying theme of the entire game, whereas Twilight Princess was dark in like they just used dark colors, and I'm not quite sure. They didn't really achieve the level of darkness that they did with Majora's Mask. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved the Twilight area. Playing as the wolf is probably the funnest part of the entire game. And it's not a bad game. It's just there's so many things in there that annoy you to no end, and I just can't get over that from my personal experience of playing it. And it took me so long to play it the first time, because I just kept getting annoyed and I just decided to stop playing. And then I came back to it and eventually finished it. Like the fishing mechanic, I just didn't enjoy. The intro was probably the longest that I can remember of any Zelda game ever before you actually get into the actual meat of the game. And if I'm perfectly honest, the combat was not great. Though I mean, there's been worse combats in other Zelda games, which we will get onto. But the only real saving grace for Twilight Princess for me is probably the cast of characters that they have. They probably have a lot more. I mean, they don't really say words. Like, I mean, none of them do. But like, it has a lot more personality, a lot more character, a lot more meat to them. Especially like Midnight's probably my favorite guide of all Zelda games. So, because she's just like, she's snappy, she's rude, she's like witty, and she kind of just like, she's more likable. You can relate to her a bit more as opposed to other guys, which we will get onto. And also, I do like certain other characters, like the baby that like runs a business, but no, the baby like starts off. You see her at the start, and then she ends up running a business in the end, and becomes like this like money conglomerate kind of thing. It's like it's insane. It's so funny, and I love it. But yeah, for me, Twilight Princess, it was good at times, but at times it was just really frustrating and kind of repetitive, especially with the whole like going to Twilight, have to get the lights and stuff like that to try and like turn it back into non-Twilight area. It was just kind of, it felt kind of samey, so I didn't really enjoy that part of it. Also, actually, no, side note, I almost forgot about this. The suit that you have to get with the rupees, that costs bajillion rupees to get, but it's like, it costs a bajillion rupees to maintain as well. It's just stupid. Like, I don't know why they done that. So for those reasons, it's probably going to be in the one and done. Oh, the camera cut out. Sorry about that. Like, the camera's like going to cut out every now and again. But like, for those reasons, I put Twilight Princess in one and done. Probably I played it once. I enjoyed it, I had my fun, but I probably won't touch it again. I mean, it's still in my room actually. I still have the Wii and I still have the Twilight Princess, but I'm not going to touch it again. Okay, now we're into some good ones right here. I might as well just get out of the way. Let's just get Breath of the Wild out of the way. I mean, like, it's kind of obvious where I'm going to put it, but let's just talk about it for a little bit. Now, Breath of the Wild, in more ways than one, revolutionized not just the Zelda franchise, but the gaming world as a whole, because it's such an incredible masterpiece, which is strange because it breaks the formula of what Zelda games, at least in the 3D sense, usually have been, and it also breaks the mold of what games in open world games have been for a while now. And I just enjoyed playing it so much. I didn't play it as much as I should have, which is annoying because I've been playing on other people's Switches and stuff like that. But I did enjoy playing it so much. I loved playing Breath of the Wild. It visually, like, it's just gorgeous. Like, there's so many things to do. And like, it's the criticism that I've laid at like other Zelda games, saying like there's nothing in between like the place you have to go. This is kind of like the opposite. At the places you have to go, there's stuff to do, but not as much stuff to do. But in between, like, going places, there's a lot of things that like you can like do, and like really and truly you can complete the story like pretty quickly, but most of the time you just spend doing side missions, which are probably more fun than the actual story anyway. So, and I just really loved playing Breath of the Wild. It's definitely at the top tier Game of the Year contender for me. I mean, it has to be, because like it was actually voted for Game of the Year. I think it was voted for Game of the Year, or at least it was a contender in the Game Awards, which I may talk about in another video. But yeah, I do. It has to be Game of the Year contender. I think it'd be almost an insult to put it with Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, because as long as those are good games, I do believe that Breath of the Wild is a step above, and like very rightfully so. Probably the best Zelda game they've made, but not the best Zelda game that I've played, to be fair. I mean, like, that's more nostalgia we're talking about. We're going to get into that in a second. Okay, the next... Should I... Okay, let's just get on to Skyward Sword, which, it's a video game. I'm so annoyed about Skyward Sword because I went into it with so much like expectations, probably wrongfully on my part. I probably should have put so much high hopes on it, but it just, when I saw the trailers, it looked so incredibly good. Like, at least visually, I was just like, wow, this is gonna be like the next step of Zelda games. They are gonna like, they've really like upped the ante. It looks so good. And then when I played it, I've just never felt so much frustration playing a video game. I mean, and there's so many things. I'm gonna try to like not like shit all of it, but like let's just get to like the meat of it. So we'll start with the guide, who what's her name, Fee, I believe. She is so incredibly ridiculously annoying, and I get what they was trying to do. They were trying to make her like this robotic, like this robotic person who just like reels off like stats and figures as if like she's being computed or whatever. And I hear what they're trying to say. I hear what they're trying to do. It just wasn't executed very well. It just came off as really annoying and plain, and like it's hardly like, I just didn't enjoy it because it was just like, why are you even here? You're telling me basic stuff that I already know about the game after the game's already told me about the stuff, or at least I can infer it from myself. You don't have to like handhold me the entire way. And it was just like, it's like she kept this thing is, at least with like other guides, you could kind of not have the option to listen to them. But Fee, she just constantly pops up, like whenever she wants, it just pops up and say like, oh, your battery is low. Oh, there's a 40% chance of this happening. Oh, there's an 80% chance of that happening. But like, you say these numbers, but like, it's gonna happen anyway. It's part of the story. So just saying the numbers doesn't actually mean anything, which is just really frustrating. So she's just mad contrast to like Midna, for example, who's just so much more like likable as a character, and they just really went down a horrible route here. What also annoys me about, I guess probably to do with Fee, is the hand holding, and like they really must think Zelda games are dumb or something. Like they don't know how to play Zelda games, because there's so many it's like the dowsing feature. Like I thought the whole idea of Zelda was being able to find things by yourself, but literally just pointing the way to you. It's kind of counterintuitive to what Zelda is, and I didn't like that. It was stupid. I just don't agree with that. Also, the repetitive nature of the boss fight, like, I mean, like, you face other boss fights, but facing the same boss over and over and over again, and even at the end, and like they tried to change up a little bit, but it just became so incredibly repetitive, and I just did not enjoy it. Like, I don't see the whole point of them even bothering to do that. Why did you need to do that? You could have just left it as the last boss fight, or maybe like it came at the beginning and then it comes at the end, and but the boss fight's completely different, and there's like a whole story arc in between that explains that. That would have been fine. But doing it like, what was it, 4 or 5 times? It's just like, and then like it had feet, then it flew. I was just like, what? I don't see the point of me doing this. I really don't see the point of me doing this. But there is one saving grace. It probably has my favorite character in Zelda, barring Midna, which is Groose, who's just like, he's so like ridiculously funny. His character is just like, it just makes me laugh, and he does have a bit of a weird face, Groose. He really does. And I don't mean it's a character. It's not like he's real, but like, I get so much joy from his encounters with Link, his encounters with Zelda, and his encounters in Skylove, which are just a lot of fun. Although that does bring me to another issue with Skyward Sword. It feels empty again, like a lot of the other Zelda games, kind of like a running theme. Like, Skylove had quite a lot of stuff to do, though some of the stuff was locked off at the start, which is really annoying. But everywhere else, all the other islands in the sky, like the skies basically, were also like really empty. There's really nothing much to do on them. So it's just, I did not enjoy playing Twilight Princess at all. So for that reason, I'm sorry, it's either die with ET or oh god, the motion control. I mean, like, that's probably the most fitting for like what it is, because the motion controls were garbage as well. But I'd have to die with ET. I don't really ever want to play Skyward Sword ever again. The only reason I would want to play it is for like the character like Groose and stuff like that, because they were more human. To be fair, I do quite like them, but the actual gameplay was awful, just generally awful. All right, now we can go on to Link Between Worlds, which personally I wasn't expecting much going into it. I kind of just got it because it came with the DS that I bought at the time, the 3DS or 2DS maybe, and I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed that game. I don't think of these games on this list, I don't think I've ever been so addicted to a game more so than Link Between Worlds, and I think it's like a spiritual successor to A Link to the Past. I looked at like quite a lot of videos on YouTube and like other YouTubers who've played those games, and like the parallels are quite palpable. It's quite obvious, and even like the map is kind of like obvious, and like I do really like the story of this a lot more than in any other Zelda game. It's actually a lot more fun, and it's a lot more like interesting to have this whole like it's kind of like the Twilight world in Twilight Princess, but like it's just a completely different world. It's not like a dark world. It's like the people have like turned like completely. There's another one of him in another dimension which you can just go through, and it also has probably the best game mechanic of any Zelda game, where you can just like flatten and like go onto the wall, which it opens up a whole different like not can of worms. That's being insulting, but like a whole different like dynamic to how you can create puzzles in Zelda games, especially in this 2D/3D top-down like world. It was just so much fun, and I enjoyed the side missions as well. The one where you had to collect like 100 different shells for like the mum, and like around the world. That was like really difficult, but was really enjoyable because you felt a real sense of accomplishment. You were definitely getting stuff. It was worth it because you were getting stuff for it. You're getting new items, new powers, and stuff like that. And also the system in which they use items is pretty cool, where like you can get whatever item you want from the beginning. There's no like level system. You don't have to do this dungeon to get this item or whatever. You can get whatever item you want. You just have to get the right one for what you need. So if I want the bow and arrow from the get-go, I can get it. I just have to pay rupees to get it. Or you don't own it, you rent them. And when you die, you give them back. But you can buy them later on and stuff like that. But at the start, that's how it works. And it's really cool because like, so if I want the bow and arrow, if I want the ice rod, if I want the fire rod, if I want the bombs, I can get them already. I just have to get some rupees, which to be fair, aren't even like a lot to get to begin with. And then you rent it, and then it's there, it's yours. And then you have like a magic meter, which like replenishes like over time. It doesn't take long to replenish anyway. So I really like that mechanic of it, and it was just a lot of fun. I was so incredibly addicted to it. I played it a lot whilst on holiday. It's pretty much the only thing I was doing on holiday instead of actually enjoying my holiday. So I want to put it Game of the Year contender. I do. But I should have made. This is my fault. I should have made more categories. Because putting it Game of the Year contender means I'm saying it's the same as Breath of the Wild in a sense, but it's better. It's not as good as Breath of the Wild, but it's better than these two, Majora's Mask, or at least on par with Majora's Mask. So I might have to put it in Master Sword quality. Actually, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put Ocarina of Time in one I've done, and then put Twilight Princess and Oh God, the motion controls, because then I feel like it's a bit more even, because it's kind of more representative of how I think it should look. Though, yeah, I think that's a bit more fair. Now, the final game we're going to talk about is Wind Waker, and oh my God, Wind Waker is by far my favorite Zelda game. Got the camera card again. There you go. Yeah, it is definitely by far my favorite Zelda game. I enjoyed it so much. I don't think I've played a Zelda game, or even any game for that matter, as much as Wind Waker. I just loved it, and the thing is, I played it like when I was like a really young kid, so I didn't get the whole like, because I know there's a lot of flack when it came with the trailer before. It looked like, oh, this is the new Zelda game we're gonna get in 3D and stuff like that. It's gonna look so cool. And then like it came up this cartoony, like sunshiny, like weird facial expression Link and like stuff like that. And then a lot of people were angry about it. But over time, people started to understand that this is a really good, really well polished game. And I I'm not sure how to put it into words, but I probably should. I'm doing a video, but like it was just so different. It was just so much more. It tapped into my sense of adventure, because like unlike all of these where you're kind of walking everywhere, you have to ride horses, you're sailing, which is, I don't know what about it, it's just a lot more fun to sail around from island to island doing things. And I think also in conjunction with that, because you have to sail to island, there's always something to do. There's always something in between each islands to do. Though some islands were emptier than others, unfortunately, and like they were kind of just there for show or for the story, which was kind of annoying. But there was always there's always like some really how do I put it, nostalgic like sounds and places in Wind Waker. Like Dragon Roost Island, I love to bits. The Forest Haven, I love to bits. Windfall Island, I love to bits. It's just the Forbidden Fortress, I love to bits, and all the music that's associated with these places are all like part of my childhood. They're all part of this game, and it's so incredibly fun to play. It is easy. That is an issue. It is easy. It's too easy, in fact. And I don't think there's that many dungeons in comparison. I think you do like 2 at the start, and then you do like 3 more. So there's like 5 dungeons really, which is actually not a lot for a Zelda game. But because you do so much in between, and there's so many side missions that you can do, and so many items that you can do, and so many journeys that you can go on, it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter to me, because I just enjoyed playing it that much, and I enjoyed sailing around that much. I enjoyed interacting with these characters that much. It has also by far the most expressive Link, which I loved, and I love this character model, this character design, and it has the best Zelda by far. Like, it's not even close, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Petra, well, they call her Petra in the game. The pirate Zelda, essentially, is just so much. It's kind of like how I felt with Midna. She's snappy, she's rude, she's in your face, she doesn't take no for an answer, she knows what she wants, she has her own way. And I liked that about her. It just felt like, oh, you're different, okay, you're a bit hard to deal with, but you're different. I like it. And that's, for me, it has to be above Majora's Mask and A Link Between Worlds for those reasons. I hear things people are going to say. I hear the reasons about the Triforce quest, which they did rectify in the HD remake version. And I do understand that it's annoying. It is annoying a little bit. But I don't know, for me personally, I just didn't care at the time. Maybe it's because I was young, or maybe it's because I was just so in love with this game and I was a bit blinded by the fact that this is actually quite frustrating. But I just enjoyed sailing and playing like that, so it didn't really matter to me. And also they rectified it in the HD remake, which is also a really good remake, even though they did some things I didn't quite like about it. But I don't know. Personally, I'd have to put it in Game of the Year contender. In fact, no, it's my list. I don't care. I'm putting it in Game of the Year contender. I just think it's that good. I just enjoyed it so much, and I'd recommend it to anyone who's never played the Zelda franchise for the first time. I'd recommend Wind Waker highly. Now, okay, that's our mini tier list done. So let's review. At the top of Game of the Year contender, we have Breath of the Wild and Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. In Master Sword quality, we have Majora's Mask and Link to the Past. One and Done, we have Ocarina of Time. In Oh God, the Motion Controls, we have Twilight Princess. And to Die with E.T., we have Skyward Sword, Where It Belongs. So I'm going to leave a link to this tier list in the description below, so you can try out for yourself, or maybe send in your own tier list of Zelda games that you think, of games you've played in fact, that you want to share with me, because I'm quite interested to see what other people think about my list and how they would do their list, kind of thing. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm not sure if I'll do another tier list, maybe. I just kind of wanted to try it out, and I'll see you next time.